Hi class, this is Dr. Anton Garcia Fernandez, and this is an overview video for the class of Spanish 250, which is a general education course. We are talking about Spain this semester in the class, and therefore the first thing we need to talk about is where Spain is located. As we discussed in the class, Spain is situated in southwestern Europe, and it is part of the Iberian Peninsula, together with the much smaller country of Portugal. The northern border of Spain is with France, and Spain and France are separated by the mountains called the Pyrenees. Besides continental Spain, Spain also owns two groups of islands. The Balearic Islands, Las Islas Baleares, in the Mediterranean Sea, and the Canary Islands, Las Islas Canarias, in the Atlantic Ocean. And besides that, there are also two autonomous cities in northern Africa that belong to Spain, the cities of Ceuta and Melilla. Spain occupies around 196,000 square miles of territory. That's close to the surface of California, and it is actually smaller than Texas. But it is very diverse culturally, geographically, and also climate-wise. In fact, in this book that we're using as a textbook for the class, there is a very interesting quote on page 14. There is an incredible natural diversity to be enjoyed, say the authors of this book, and then they have a quote from the British naturalists Chapman and Buck, who commented in their book Wild Spain from 1893 the following, I quote, "In no other land can there be found within a similar area such extremes of scene and climate." And of course this was true at the end of the 19th century, and it is still true today. In fact, in Spain, there are three types of climate. First of all, there is the wet climate, and the wet climate can be found on the northwestern coast of Galicia and the northeastern coastal area bordering France. So somewhere around here, in this area right here, and then also this area right here close to France. This is a map of Spain that you can find on page 7 of our book. These wet climate areas, according to the book, show only slight variations in temperature, with mild winters and cool summers. A cloudy sky and frequent rainfalls are common, although less so during the summer months. Then there's also a dry part of Spain, which comprises Levante, Catalonia, the Balearic Islands, and the central plateau of Spain, which is called the Meseta, and also some parts of the south, Andalusia. So we're talking about this area right here, Levante, the central plateau as well, the Balearic Islands right here, and also the southern part of Spain, which is Andalusia. Those are dry areas of Spain, and it is characteristic that in these areas the summer brings a blazing sun and an intense blue sky with occasional short-lived local thunderstorms. And then finally we have the arid climate, and that means that there are parts of Spain that receive less than 11 inches of rainfall per year. Some parts of the Levante, in this area right here that we mentioned before, some parts of the Levante area, and then also in Murcia, right there in the southeast of Spain. Those are arid parts of Spain. And then besides these three types of climate, wet, dry, and arid, we also have the subtropical climate, which is typical of the Canary Islands. I mentioned that the Canary Islands look very close there on that map to continental Spain, but in reality they're pretty far away, a little bit like Hawaii in the United States, because the Canary Islands are actually off the African coast. Spain is also divided, as we mentioned in the class, into 17 different regions called autonomous communities, or comunidades autónomas, plus the cities of Ceuta and Melilla that I mentioned before in the north of Africa. These 17 regions are more or less roughly equivalent to the states here in the United States, and they are divided into provinces or provincias, and this is roughly equivalent to our counties here in the United States. Of course, each of these autonomous communities has its own government and regional president, which is more or less like the governor here in the United States. The central government, however, is located in Madrid, the capital city of Spain, which is placed exactly in the center of the country. As I mentioned in class, in Madrid, we find the Kilómetro Cero, or kilometer zero, which is the place from which all radius roads that link big cities in Spain start. And in the book, The A to Z of Spanish Culture, if you look at page 54, K is for kilometro, it tells you a little bit about the fact that the metric system is used in Spain. No, they don't use miles or yards or anything like that, but they use meters, centimeters, kilometers. And the Kilómetro Cero is the one spot in Spain out of which distances to other cities used to be measured. The origin of all the carreteras radiales, or radius roads, was here. These roads were set up long ago by King Carlos III in the late 1700s to create a way of linking all major cities to the capital, which is Madrid. Of course, the railway system was also based on this model, and the roadway system has been greatly improved, as you can imagine, between the 1700s and the present day. The Kilómetro Cero is in Madrid, in the Puerta del Sol, which is a popular meeting point for both locals and tourists. It hugs the spotlight on New Year's Eve as its clock signals the official beginning of the new year. And we will be talking a little bit more about this tradition whenever we get to the part of the class in which we will talk about the different traditions in Spain. We mentioned in the class as well that being so close to northern Africa, Spain does receive a great deal of immigration from African countries. Many immigrants, especially from Africa, see Spain, as they do other parts of Europe, like Italy or Greece, for example, as the gateway to a more promising life in Europe. And to this, we have to add also immigration from Eastern Europe, often moving to Western European countries, and particularly in the case of Spain, immigration from Spanish America. Think about the fact that people living in Spanish America share the same language with Spain, and many people from Central, Northern, and South America actually do have family roots in Spain. In the last 40 years, therefore, Spain has become an even more culturally diverse country. The cultural diversity of Spain, as I mentioned in the class as well, can also be seen in the fact that in Spain, not only Spanish is spoken as an official language. Of course, Spain has an official language, which is Spanish or Castilian Spanish, which is spoken all over the territory of Spain. But there are certain regions, like Galicia in the northwest, the Basque Country, close to France in the north, and Catalonia in the northeast, also close to France, that have not just their own traditions and their own cultural traits, but also their own official language, which is co-official with Spanish. The languages are Galician or Gallego in Galicia, Basque or Euskera in the Basque Country, and Catalan in Catalonia. And of course, more to come about these differences and these different languages that are also official in Spain in further classes specifically designed to talk about those languages and that linguistic diversity in Spain.